Have you ever been judged, just because you chose to obey Allah? Have they ever said you'll never find love because of the way you dress for your Lord? Have you been made to feel like modesty is a barrier to happiness? Then this story is for you. It will break your heart, and then heal it again with hope and faith. Tell us, where are you watching from? Drop a comment if you've ever felt looked down on for choosing modesty. Repost this story to remind someone that Allah honors those who choose Him. Like this video if you believe true love comes from Allah. And don't forget to subscribe for more real, emotional stories that prove, when the world turns away, Allah opens a better door. Now let's begin. They didn't see me. Not really. Every time I walked into a room, dressed in my long flowing abaya, my niqab gently resting over my face, people turned away. Their eyes skipped past me like I didn't exist. In the market, the aunties smiled at every other girl. But when they looked at me, their smiles faded. She's too serious, they whispered. Too extreme. Who'll marry someone like that? I heard every word. And even when I didn't, I felt it. The stares. The distance. The subtle pity in their voices. I didn't wear the niqab to impress anyone. I wore it out of love, out of conviction, out of hope for Jannah. But slowly, the world made me feel like my devotion had made me undesirable. Ya Allah, is there anyone who will see me for what's in my heart? When the first proposal came, I was hopeful. He was religious, they said. A good family. But days later, his mother called and said, she seems nice, but does she always wear that face cover? My son deserves someone more presentable. It crushed me. Then came the second. Then the third. One asked for a photo. Another wanted me to temporarily remove it to assess beauty. Each time, I felt more broken. Was modesty now a curse? Was devotion to Allah a barrier to love? Ya Allah, don't let this dunya break me. I chose you. Please choose me back. I stayed home more. I started declining gatherings. Even weddings felt too painful, seeing people shine, while I sat like a shadow. One day, my cousin asked me, why do you even wear it if it's making your life hard? I looked at her and said softly, because the day I remove it for the world, I remove a part of me. I'd rather be lonely in this world than stripped before Allah. Her eyes widened. She didn't speak after that. But I knew she saw something that day, maybe not my face, but the strength behind it. One night, I broke. Completely. I stood in tahajjud and wept until I couldn't breathe. Everyone else was asleep, but I cried like a child desperate for her Lord. Ya Allah, they say I won't marry. They say no one wants someone like me. But you are the best planner. If I am wrong, correct me. If I am right, honor me, and if I am meant to be alone, then make me content with your will. I fell asleep on the prayer mat that night. But my heart was lighter. I didn't know it then, but that dua was heard. Months passed. And then, out of nowhere, my father received a call. A brother from another city has been asking around, he said. He's heard of your daughter. He's interested. I smiled politely, but deep down, I had no energy left to hope. Still, I agreed to allow him to speak with my family. And then, something strange happened. He didn't ask for photos. He didn't ask if I'd remove my niqab. He didn't even want a detailed look. He only asked, does she love her deen? Does she fear Allah? My heart stopped. This was different. My father returned after the call, his eyes misty. He had spoken to the brother's guardian. And all he said was, we've been making dua for a woman of deen. Not dunya. We know she wears niqab. That's exactly why we're asking for her. I blinked. Was this a dream? Not once did they ask about my skin tone. Not once did they mention physical beauty. All they cared about was the light in my heart. Ya Allah, is this the one? He asked to speak to me, respectfully, through a guardian, and completely within Islamic guidelines. I agreed, nervously. We met in a simple setting. I was behind a veil. He couldn't see my face, and he never tried to. His first words were, "I'm not here to assess your looks. I want to know your goals for your Akira." My hands trembled. I had never met someone who looked at me, not with his eyes, but with his heart. He didn't ask how I dressed. He asked, "What's your favorite ayah? What's your plan to grow in the deen as a wife? How do you respond to trials? Do you want to memorize the Quran one day?" I was stunned. Every word from him felt like a breath of fresh air in a world that had stifled me. I answered with honesty. I told him of my love for Allah. I told him how the niqab made me feel safe, like I belonged to Allah alone. His reply, "Then you are exactly the kind of woman I asked Allah for." After we parted, my mind raced. Was it too good to be true? Could this really be Qadr? The next day, his proposal became official. He sent his mother, his aunt and sisters, all in full respect of my boundaries. They hugged me with warmth. And his mother whispered, "My son always said he'd marry a woman who reminded him of the righteous." He said, "I don't need to see her face. I'll see her soul." Tears fell down my cheeks. I wasn't rejected this time. I was chosen. The nikah was small and simple. No loud music. No extravagance. Just smiles, tears, and du'as. I wore white, not for the world, but because I felt pure. Honored. Protected. My husband never looked at me like I was strange. He looked at me like I was a gift. The girl they said would never marry, was now married in the most beautiful way. And whoever fears Allah, He will make a way out for them, and provide for them from where they never expected. Quran chapter 65 verse 2 and 3. Marriage wasn't a fairy tale. It came with new challenges. But the difference was, now, I had a partner who saw me through the lens of taqwa. On our first morning together, I woke early for Far. Before I could even finish my wudu, I heard him quietly reciting Quran in the living room. Tears filled my eyes. Ya Allah. You gave me a man who reminds me of you. We prayed side by side. And afterward, he gently turned to me and said, "Let's make a habit of praying tahajjud. Together too. So that Jannah is our forever home." Even after marriage, the world didn't stop talking. She must have shown her face for him to accept her. Let's see how long she keeps up this niqab thing now that she's married. But I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My husband did. He would always say, "My wife wears the niqab for Allah, not for me. That's what makes her beautiful." He defended my dignity like it was his own. And I never felt the need to explain myself again. Life tested us quickly. Just 6 months into the marriage, I became ill. Fatigue. Weight loss. Frequent hospital visits. The doctors were unsure. And fear crept into my heart. Would he still love me if I became weak? Would he regret marrying the niqabi no one wanted? But instead of fear, he showed me faith. Every appointment, he sat next to me holding my hand. Every prescription, he reminded me. Shifa comes from Allah. And so does reward for sabr. That night I cried, not from pain, but from gratitude. Ya Allah, you didn't just give me a husband, you gave me a witness to my pain, and a partner in my dua. One afternoon, I saw an old friend from university. The same one who once told me no man would ever marry someone who covered her face. She saw me walking beside my husband. She recognized my voice. Her mouth dropped slightly. "You got married?" she asked, shocked. I smiled gently and nodded. To him, she pointed. Yes, I said. Alhamdulillah. She blinked. But, he's so handsome. And you? She stopped herself. But I had already heard that sentence so many times in my life. Yes, I said. And he chose me without ever seeing my face. Her eyes softened. I didn't need to say more. The truth was shining on its own. Years before, in my loneliest days, I had written a letter to my future husband. I never sent it. I didn't even know who he would be. But one evening, as we sat under the stars, I pulled it out and read it to him. To the man who chooses me without seeing me, I pray you love my soul more than my skin. I pray you walk with me toward Jannah, and remind me of Allah when I forget. I pray you don't just marry my body, but the parts of me no one else ever honored. He looked at me, eyes full of tears, and whispered. I feel like I've waited my whole life just to hear this. Even with love in our home, the whispers of doubt still visited me. One night I stared at my reflection, covered from head to toe, and wondered. Am I enough? So many women around me wore makeup, smiled freely on social media, received compliments like confetti. I was hidden. Silent. Forgotten by the world. I turned to my husband and asked. Do you ever wish I looked different? He looked up from his mushaf, surprised. Wallahi, I fear the day you stop looking like this. You remind me of the women Allah loves. You remind me to lower my gaze, even as your husband. Tears ran down my cheeks. His words healed a wound I didn't know was bleeding. One day, my husband lost his job. It was sudden. No warning. We went from comfort to confusion in one email. Our lifestyle had never been lavish, but the shift was hard. We had to cut back. Delay plans. Cancel some dreams. And in that moment, Shaitan whispered again. Now let's see how long your deen will sustain you. But subhanallah, the niqab didn't come off. Our salah didn't stop, and our du'as became more sincere than ever before. I stood in the kitchen one night with only rice and water and whispered. Ya Razak, the world thinks I've lost. But I know this is when you begin to give. Within a month a door opened. Not one we had expected. A small online business we had started quietly, intending it for sadaqah, suddenly exploded. Orders began to pour in. Barakah was everywhere. It wasn't riches, but it was enough. More than enough. My husband smiled and said, Allah didn't just replace my job, He gave me a family rizq through you. And that day I understood. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Quran chapter 65 verse 3. 3 years passed, and no child came. Tests after tests. Doctors shaking their heads. Relatives whispering behind our backs. She's the problem, some said. Too much covering. Maybe Allah isn't happy. A child would have come if she changed. Each comment felt like a dagger. But I held firm. My Rabb gives when He wills. And my niqab isn't a punishment. It is my protection. One night, I cried in sujud again. Not for a child but for strength. And the next morning, a faint line on a test strip changed everything. The labor was long. Painful. Exhausting. But when I finally held my son, all I could whisper was, Alhamdulillah. 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 My husband held both of us and cried. I made du'a for this for years, he said. And Allah gave me both, a righteous wife and a beautiful son. We named him Yusuf, for he was beautiful inside and out, and a living reminder that even in a prison of trials, Allah's mercy prevails. I looked at my son and whispered, I will raise you to love what the world mocks. I will teach you to respect women not for their looks, but for their loyalty to Allah. When I returned to the masjid with my baby, some women smiled. Others, not so much. One sister said under her breath. So someone did marry her after all. Another laughed. Even with all that covering, she still got a baby. Subhanallah, what a world. And someone whispered. I wonder what she looks like under there. Poor child will grow up with a ghost for a mother. My heart burned. But I looked down at my son, peacefully sleeping, and remembered. Maryam, may Allah be pleased with her, was mocked too. Her silence was her strength. And Allah himself defended her honor. So I smiled and walked on. Because I didn't need their validation. I already had Allah's. He was almost a year old when he first spoke. Most children say Mama or Baba. But not my Yusuf. His first word was Allahu. He would hear me say Allahu Akbar during Salah and crawl closer, trying to mimic me. That day, I cried more than I ever had. Ya Allah, you didn't just bless me with a child, you blessed me with a companion in worship. And I made dua. O Allah, make him a hafid. Let his tongue begin and end with your name. Let him always honor women who live for you. At age 3, Yusuf asked. Mama, why do you wear black like the Kaaba? I laughed gently. But then he said. My friend's mama shows her face and wears pink. She said you're scary. I paused. My heart stung. I knelt beside him and said. Because Jannah is covered too, my love. Not everyone gets to see it in this world, only those who strive for it with love and patience. He smiled and hugged me. Then I want to be like you, Mama. And go to Jannah too. That moment reminded me, children don't just inherit your features. They inherit your faith. One day, my husband came home, quiet and distant. I asked if everything was okay. He told me. There's a sister at work, she's been trying to get close. Everyone says I'm crazy for not entertaining her. I froze. My heart sank. Not out of jealousy, but fear. He continued. I told her I already have a queen, one who chose Allah over beauty, fame, and attention. And I will never betray her, because to hurt her, is to hurt the part of me that fears Allah. That night, I cried again. Not from sadness, but from gratitude. Ya Allah. You gave me a man who guards his gaze, because he guards his heart for you. It was a youth program at the masjid. I had volunteered to set up quietly, as usual, staying in the background. But a young girl, maybe 15, approached me hesitantly. Can I talk to you? She asked. I nodded. I started wearing the niqab 2 weeks ago, but I feel so ugly. People at school say I'm hiding because I'm ashamed of my face. I held her hand. We hide what's precious. Gold stays hidden underground. Diamonds are buried deep. You are covered not because you are shameful, but because you are a jewel in the sight of your Rab. She cried. I was about to remove it. But seeing you here, reminded me who I want to be. That day, I realized. My niqab was not just my shield. It was my dawah. It started with a cough, then fatigue, then hospital visits. He was my rock. The one who used to carry me through pain. Now, I was carrying him. I watched him grow weaker each day, yet still smile through it all. Even on his worst nights, he whispered. Sabr brings reward. If this is my time, I'm ready. But if Allah keeps me here, I'll serve him even more. One night, he looked at me, pale and tired, and said, I used to ask Allah for a righteous wife. Now I thank him for giving me one who will pray over my grave if I go before her. I broke. Silently. Ya Allah, don't take him yet. You joined our hearts through you. Let us live longer in this dunya, to prepare for forever in Akhirah. Alhamdulillah. The sickness faded. He recovered. Slowly, gently. The first time he walked into the masjid again after months, people embraced him like a returning soldier. He whispered to me later that night, "Maybe Allah gave me more time so I could love you better. Or maybe so I could raise Yusuf to become the man this ummah needs." I smiled, tears in my eyes. Because we both knew, every trial brought us closer. To Allah. To each other. To our ultimate destination, Jannah. One day, a woman I hadn't seen in years showed up at our door. It was the same girl from my past. The one who said, "No one will marry you like this." She looked tired. Broken. Regretful. "I divorced last year," she said, voice trembling. "I tried everything to get attention, be trendy, be seen. But it never brought me peace." She looked at me and whispered, "I wish I had chosen what you chose. You were invisible to them, but now, you shine more than any of us ever could." I embraced her and said, "It's not too late. Allah sees you. Begin now. Cover yourself in His love. The world may forget you, but He never will." Years passed. Yusuf was growing into a man of Quran. My husband, now with gray strands in his beard, still looked at me like I was newlywed. One day he said, "I used to love you for your modesty. But now, I love you for your legacy." That hit differently. Because I wasn't just the woman in Niqab anymore. I was the woman who raised a hafid. Who mentored young girls. Who turned whispers of mockery into echoes of admiration. Not for myself, but for the deen of Allah. So here I am. The same woman they said no one would ever marry. The same woman who cried alone in her room, felt rejected. Mocked. Unseen. But today, I am loved. Cherished. And seen by the one whose opinion matters most. They said I'd never get married in Niqab, but Allah wrote for me the best husband. A peaceful home. And a story that will inspire others to never let go of him. Dear sister, if the world mocks your modesty, let it. If people call you extreme, walk away with dignity. Because the one who sees you through your veil, is the same one who sees your worth beyond all faces. Whoever leaves something for the sake of Allah, Allah replaces it with something far better. Hadith, Ahmad. Please subscribe for more stories like this. And if this touched your heart, drop Ameen in the comments. May Allah honor every sister who wears the niqab, and write for her a love better than the world can imagine. Kindly tell us where you're watching from. Ya Allah, give our sisters strength, honor, and beautiful spouses who love them for your sake. Never let them feel unseen again. Ameen.